Matthew, how are you feeling today?
Positively overwhelmed, if that's possible at all.
Okay.
Overwhelmed because it's a very busy period, very busy at work and personal commitments and everything. But positively because it's good busy, because we worked hard to create work, to generate new projects, new initiatives. So now it's making sure we deliver on what we committed in our plans.
All right. Matthew, you're the CEO of an NGO. How is it like to run an NGO?
We would like to think we run it like a business, in a sense that you need to, like any other business, you need to handle the feasibility, your finances, to be sustainable. You need to do good work, you need to be professional, you need to be dedicated to your cause, to your mission, deliver good value and quality, as well as do good in society. As an NGO, you're sort of expected to do good in society and the community, but I think even businesses need to do good and do serve the community as well. So I think I would say it's like running a business. Typically, your resources are more limited, smaller teams, smaller budgets. And I would say the major difference between an NGO like ours for now and a business is that your income isn't dependent on sales. So it's not like you have a product or a service and you're selling it, but you have to sell your ideas, your initiatives, and your impact. So you're not selling something that's good for the person paying for it, like a normal business, but you are selling an idea, selling the fact that it delivers good impact so that funders, investors, sponsors, partners join or funding applications. You convince the person evaluating your application that your project, your initiative delivers value. And you need to build a track record, like a business builds reputation. An NGO needs to build a certain track record to deliver confidence to the people funding it that ultimately the money is going in the right place for the right thing. So,
It's very interesting because it feels like going on Shark Tank all year round.
Sometimes, yes, that is quite a limiting factor. Yes, that you come up with ideas, the team comes up with ideas, and the implementation of them, whether they can go ahead or not, is based on whether you get funding for it. So yes, you're practically pitching all the time. But even businesses, to be honest, they're constantly selling. So even if you're a solo entrepreneur, if you're a small business or you're trying to build up a startup or a large corporate, they're constantly selling through messaging, through communication. They're either selling themselves as an employer or employer branding and recruitment. They're either selling for the product or service they're delivering. So I think everyone, to be honest, and if you really evaluate your life, you're selling. Because you're networking, you're selling yourself, you're selling your ideas all the time. So,
how do you keep the atmosphere and the things that you come up with engaging for the young people? Because you work a lot with young people. How do you?
I think as an audience, you need to cater for your audience. So you need to make sure that the audience, you're giving them value, you're giving them something they appreciate. Actually, sometimes they might not appreciate it now, but then 3-4 years later, they come and knock on the door and tell you, it was an excellent experience, I learned a lot. So you need to reach, sort of dealing with young people, we try to reach a good balance between value in terms of content, of experiences, challenges, because we can't make it easy, to be honest, because life is not easy. But on the other hand, fun as well, to keep the engagement through the fun element, but in the meantime still giving the lessons, because obviously we work in the educational space. So giving enough content, material, experiences, challenges that still deliver the learning experience that we aim to deliver. So So you need to strike a balance between fun and content and actual experiences.
On a more personal note, what made you accept this position?
So I got to know of this vacancy being available, to be honest, less than 24 hours before accepting another role. I was considering a role, a shift, because before I was working with another NGO, another foundation, and I decided, listen, because life is what it is, I need to go to a corporate world, take a job within the corporate sector, private sector, back to my roots of IT and the project management and innovation, because of it pays more, commitments and everything. And I decided, okay, tomorrow I'll give them a call and accept the role. That day I received a phone call saying, listen, there's the CEO position of JA Malta, of what was known as Young Enterprise, available. Would you be interested? And I think at that moment, during that phone call, I recalled my experience as a student, doing the Young Enterprise program as a student in my sixth form. And I can appreciate the exercise, the learning experience I went through myself. In fact, because I really value that experience so much, I remained in touch with the organization. I was a mentor, I was a judge, I was a speaker. So now it felt like it's the next thing. Yes, get involved in the organization, take on the role as part of my work, in my working life, and continue delivering the experience I got from the organization to others. So I think that is what convinced me and gave me another impetus of energy, because it is draining, as I said, it's quite demanding. That no, I wouldn't go for the corporate world. I want to stick to the NGO world, the voluntary sector, to deliver more impact. Basically, it was a decision based on where will I be happy the most. I really believe in working and doing what you like to do, because that's the way you can be efficient and that's the way you can actually deliver good quality, because you're happy and you on a Monday morning you're going back to the office energized because it's another week of work. At that time I was going to switch to the corporate world because I had lost the challenge where I was before. I was like, I wasn't feeling like I was giving my best, and it's not fair on me, because I want to give my best. I want to be happy with my work, but I want to be proud of my own work. And it wasn't fair on the organization that if I'm not giving my best, then I should find solutions that the organization can go on without me, which I did that, I believe. And I was ready to move on, as I said. But then this opportunity came along, and the memories it brought. And also the persons interviewing me or offering me the job gave me a roadmap that gave me the space that I can take this organization forward and make it bigger and grow. And that's why I also told you the answer to your first question was I'm positively overwhelmed, because now I'm a bit overwhelmed with the amount of projects and initiatives we're starting off. But it is what I signed up for, so it's good.
I was going to ask you, what do you bring to the table to the Young Enterprise? So what spice do you add to the NGO now?
Well, I think if I had to describe sort of what I see as my positive points at work, is I'm creative in terms of don't ask me to draw anything. That's completely off my radar.
Creativity comes in the various shapes and forms.
In terms, yes, of coming up with ideas, coming up with different ways of doing the same thing but differently, solving problems. I think I'm quite good at. I'm actually good also at identifying them. So whenever we're embarking onto something, or when someone from the team comes with an idea, the first things I try to do is try to shoot it down. And I tell them, I'm not shooting it down because I don't like it. I'm shooting it down because now is the time to consider all options. Because again, as an NGO and as also as a business, there's also an opportunity cost. So if you are spending time and energy on a particular thing, you're taking it away from another alternative. So I try to analyze all the situation. I believe I'm very analytical, very structured in my thinking, and try to solve problems then and practical to solve problems when they arise. So I think that's what I bring. And the energy and the commitment to the mission. I think being an NGO, you need to be really committed to the mission of the organization. I believe the team there at JA is very committed, and part of my role is also making sure they remain driven, motivated, committed to the idea. So it's a bit of bringing your ideas, taking some from the team, seeing what works the best, and combine them together. That's the beauty of working in a team rather than alone, I guess.
Definitely. How do you manage the dynamic?
I think the team knows I'm honest with them. So if there's something I don't like, I speak up. I won't send them on a wild goose chase, pretending I like the idea just to keep them happy. When I don't like it or I see that it needs improvement, I tell them. When they come up with ideas, I take them on that are good and I think we can do them and we can get value from them. I drive them to do it. I join in to do it. And I think the communication of constantly telling them where we're heading. I think you, as a leader, as a CEO, you are the person that can bridge what the board, what the administrators want or are asking for more things, what the team wants to do and happy to work on, and you need to make sure they are aligned with one vision. I think that's it. So making sure that the team is aware of the vision and tweaking their ideas and helping them coming up with ideas in line with that vision. There are instances where you get challenged, and that's how I like it as well. I wouldn't want a team that says yes to everything. I want to be challenged, and in fact, I think last week I was challenged of, listen, we're taking on all these projects. Are they in line with what we agreed on doing? And I explained my reasoning, and I hope problem solved.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Earlier, Matthew mentioned that you were at a sort of like a crossroads between decisions, and you asked yourself a specific question: what would make me the most happy? Which part would make me the most happy? What was your state of mind at that point in time, in the sense of how do you get there to have the courage to pursue what makes you happy instead of chasing the money in a way?
I think it's kind of second nature to me, I think. Probably I don't give it a lot of thought in that. I was working in Malta at the beginning of my career. I was working and everything, and in the corporate world. And I moved from large corporates to smaller and startups. Then I moved abroad, again for the experience of living abroad. I had studied abroad for a short period of time, my master's, but I wanted to go for a longer stretch. I wanted to work abroad for the independence, for the experience, for different cultures, different things. And therefore there I was comfortable, I was earning more and everything. And then an opportunity came to come back to Malta. We were also considering coming back to Malta for family reasons and whatever. But an opportunity came along that I could join an NGO, a foundation, who was starting something new in Malta. At the time was crowdfunding in Malta. And the challenge for me was amazing, because it was I was on my own, the team was me. New idea, completely new. And I knew I would have the opportunity to work in finances, in financial sector, in legal, because there was no law for it, so I had to learn the ropes in law. It was in IT, which I had a background in IT and websites and e-commerce. Crowdfunding is similar to e-commerce. So I knew I could keep that part. And then I had to do marketing and everything. So this is a fantastic idea for me to do everything. The challenge, the thrill of the challenge was amazing. And then by time, as I said, kind of that thrill started dying away. Sort of what I could do, I did at the time. And there was pressure of, there was this new opportunity in the corporate sector that I could again. It was an innovation, actually. The title included innovation in its title, which for me it was again fantastic. But as I said, then this opportunity came along. And for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, to be honest, as long as things aligned well in terms of, yes, there was a clear vision of growing organization, that we're on a path for growth and everything. It became a no-brainer. Because I feel that someone gives his or her best when they're happy. And I don't mean happy in terms of easygoing, so it's a job that, it's easy, I know how to do it, so I'm not, no problems, and I'm not saying no problems, I'm saying happy. So when problems come, you're happy to solve it, you're happy to face them.
I think it's playing by your strengths rather than happy, because you're playing to what you know best and it comes to you as naturally as possible.
Yes, but also the fact that for example, for me, the fact that I feel that I'm doing impact, I'm impacting people's lives, that students come back and say, thank you, it was an amazing experience. I help startups set up. I love it. Coming youth or even non-youth, coming with ideas to me to try and see how they can set up their startup, come up with their ideas. And then eventually I see it there in real life, their products being sold. For me, it's amazing, that experience, that feeling of me saying, I helped. It wasn't my idea. They're doing all the work, but I helped.
What does it take, though, to get something starting? So from 0 to 1, from what you observed and learned, what does it take?
First of all, perseverance. I think that is a skill, that is something that you keep going, if you believe in it, and you truly want it, it's your passion, and you feel you really believe in the idea, you need to persevere. Problems will come, things will not go according to plan. There is a saying failing to plan is planning to fail. But sticking to your plan to the letter is also failing, because you will need to adjust. So I think it's a series of perseverance, resilience, being creative in finding solutions for your problems, and also in some cases learning when to stop. So I might be sounding like I'm contradicting myself, but you need to persevere until you really think, listen, I did what I could, but there isn't a market for this idea, or it doesn't work, so I need to stop. Kind of cut your losses so that you can invest yourself in something else. And learning when to say stop, and considering that not a failure, but part of a journey that you're building on. It could be your idea, the market isn't ready for it, or there isn't a market for it. So I think it's that set of skills to be realistic with yourself, knowing when to push and when to actually say, I need to kill this idea, moving on to the next one.
Is there a particular story that stuck with you in this regard, that there was perhaps an inspiring story that shaped your view on this?
I think I remember, for example, two people that really were motivated in doing their idea and taking it on and everything, and I helped them a bit, and it was looking like it's positive. Then there was conflict between them. Things weren't going according to plan, so they stopped. Then, a few months later, I received a phone call from one of them saying, you know what, I actually found a way through our problem that we had. I'm taking it on. The other person isn't coming on board because they moved on, and I'm actually doing something different. So even when you feel it is done, dusted, switched off and everything, this guy taught me a lesson that even when you say it's over, it might not actually be over. It's still there at the back of your mind, and eventually when the cogs fall into place, you can kick it off again. And that was quite a learning experience for me, because you tend to, when you're ready to switch off something, then pretty much sometimes you end up hating it, or you're sort of trying to really switch it off completely.
I think it's good to park things sometimes. I think it's good.
Yes. I think it also works. I mean, we say when you have a problem, sometimes it's good to sleep over it.
Yeah.
And in this case, it wasn't one night sleeping over it. It was a couple of months. But I think, as I said, knowing when to persevere, knowing when to stop, knowing when to park something, and even handling the conflict between individuals. I mean, being an entrepreneur is not an easy feat. It has a lot of complications, and in some cases you end up alone. So that's why I like helping people, because I know that they might be alone. They might need that extra push. That they might need another door opening, networking. So, and that's how I see myself adding value and making myself proud that I'm doing something good for someone else.
When it comes to our project, you made me remember of a video really about procrastination. I think it's quite a hot topic. This video was by Adam Grant. I'm not sure whether you saw it. It's quite a popular TED Talk. Where basically he says that, because we're speaking about creativity and all of these kind of things, and he says that if you are super eager to start something, you don't allow yourself or your mind enough time to think creatively about the problem that you have at hand. And that you are doing that because you want to avoid stress, which is good. On the other side, at the very far end, if you leave things till the very end, although that might add an element of stress through which you are able to work more effectively and efficiently under pressure, you are also causing a lot of stress which can be damaging.
Yes.
So there is what he calls, there's the Goldilocks zone in between, some place in between, and this differs for everyone. That's the right time between you have left enough time for your brain and to settle on and the idea and to think creatively.
Think of alternatives.
Yes. And then to take action without feeling stressed. So there is this space.
Yeah, timing is everything. Timing is very important in terms of what you're saying, in terms of how you thought about something long enough to make sure it's the right decision, but then not overthinking or postponing it because you're waiting for the perfect time, because you might risk missing the boat. So I think in terms of timing, but also in terms of procrastination. So putting yourself under that severe stress because of deadlines, it's not good either. So I think, and again, this is where we feel, and we work in the educational space, that in some cases, through experiences, and that's why our programs are also all hands-on experiential learning, because I believe that is the best way to learn. Through textbooks, you get theory, but theory isn't always real when it comes to experiences. So
it's ideal.
It's the ideal,
it's the
but
ideal.
Very few things are at their ideal stage. So I think the experiential learning is critical, because over there, people start realizing that, okay, when I feel a bit stressed, it's okay. I will get through, rather than just giving up. And it is a safe space for you to learn these things and experience. And if you fail, you move on. Later on in life, if society or your parents tried to give you everything on a silver plate because they feel responsibility that they want to give you the best life, sometimes it could be a disservice because later on in life, not everything will be served on a silver plate, and you won't be equipped strongly enough to handle the mishaps, the inconveniences, the bad luck that you get in life. So I think, again, the experiential learning and putting students through challenges and problem solving helps build up that character that eventually you need. And this is not just for entrepreneurs, this is also for people working a 9-to-5 job. If you see all the statistics of what employers see lacking is this sense of adaptability, resilience, perseverance. Because the technical skills you will learn.
Yeah.
If you put your mind to it, you will learn. But these skills take a bit longer. They need to become a habit.
This might sound a little bit weird. I think we live in excessive comfort, in the sense that we can only grow through discomfort, which is unfortunate, but it's true. So if there's no challenge, if there's no discomfort to what we're doing, we don't learn and we don't grow. And I very much agree with what you said about experiential learning, in the sense that I do lecture as well, and I've always been practical in my approach. So I do present the theory, but then I have to present a practical way of how you can apply it, and to understand the concept. So it's not about understanding the theory and how it falls together, one step A, B, C, D, E, but rather than understanding the concept so that you can use it in a fluid way. Exactly. I think that is the most important thing to do, to understand the concept, and then you interpret it and you make it your own. And you might connect one theory to one framework and so on and so forth. And I think youths nowadays, at least from my perspective working with youths, is that they live in a world, and it's not because of them, it's the circumstance that they're in, that they are living in so much comfort that they are not in a position that they need to be in a
I know where you're coming from. I think every generation is a bit different. So for certain things that maybe for our generation were discomfort, now we're seeing them a bit in excess. So, for example, opportunities to travel, to work abroad, to study abroad, to go abroad on Erasmus programs, whatever. For us, they were limited, and every opportunity you get, you jump on it. Now, these opportunities are in abundance for people who are involved and know where to look. So, certain things are better off now. However, there are certain difficulties that the youth today face. We were actually discussing it this morning, that the youth at the moment live in a space where the previous generation, at least, we cannot generalize, but as a general trend is that we're living in the best time of our lives, in terms of commodities, in terms of luxury, in terms of everything. So they have that. But they are also worried about other things. For example, social media. The fact that they get access to the amount of information that they get is sometimes too much. To handle it, to know what's right, what's wrong, what's fake news, what's real, what's just an opinion of someone, what's actually facts. So that their lives is actually documented. Because even if someone, a youth, doesn't want to be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatnot, kind of they're forced to, because their friends they post, so their life is constantly exposed to that. So they feel they're constantly being watched. So although sometimes we say it's vanity and they want to show off what they're doing and everything on social media, they feel the pressure that everything they do is also there. So they worry about climate change, the environment, for example. It's innate in them. Our programs, for example, speak about climate change. When we give challenges, we talk about the sustainable development goals and everything. But really and truly, the ideas they come up with are all conscious of the environment. So they're worried about other things, which we before were into. So I think it's more of understanding the context they live in. Sometimes, yes, society now with, maybe I'm being a bit controversial, sometimes with the political correctness, and we need to be careful what to say and really adjust to everyone's needs and wants. Yes, sometimes we try to make it too easy, and then when something goes wrong, they might not be able to handle it. But again, different realities. There are youth nowadays living in different realities. Some have opportunities, others don't. And that gap is growing as well. So we need to keep that in mind, that there are people falling behind because of lack of opportunities for them. Be it because of financial, be it because exposure within their family household to opportunities. So that gap is also growing. So we need to keep in mind what in our terms, that's the organization, are the underserved, which we can't generalize and say, oh, these youth, they have a lot of opportunities, because there's a whole cohort of people that don't have opportunities. Or they're not aware of the opportunities. The life is too hard for them to think of opportunities to move out of their situation. So I think we need to keep an open mind that there are people facing different situations, but we do need to start from a younger age, putting people through certain challenges, certain situations, to get them to fight for it, to get out of a problem, to solve a problem, to be creative, to be critical. Because in some cases, we expect them within our education system to follow a path, to follow a line. And if they get out of line, we make sure they're back into it. But that kills also the critical thinking, the creative thinking. So I think the education system, not just in Malta, everywhere, especially Europe, was built with the Industrial Revolution in mind, that you need people to do their job, stick to the job, a job for life, you have a set of skills, but the world moved on. But the education system, unfortunately, for various reasons, did not move on as fast. There are currents that want to change it, but there are also some barriers.
I don't think that some, but there are barriers. What you made me think of, Matthew, is that it's the scope for even for this podcast, because I do believe that we don't have enough space to develop our own internal resources, and I think we are overly relying on the use of medication, psychological support, and validation from social media, which I can understand, but we don't spend enough time. And to be honest, if I were younger and living in the atmosphere that young people are living today, I wouldn't even know from where to start. So I'm not blaming at this stage, but how can we give the youth, because even adults like this, the ability to think about how can they improve their own self from inside out?
Yeah, again, I think it's, to be honest, through going through experiences. You learn how to improve. You learn where you need to up your game on certain skills, is by going through experiences, and going through experiences that are out of your comfort zone. So, for example, I meet parents that say now we're stopping all activities because there's private lessons.
Yes. I get that a lot.
But the fact that this youth, can juggle and time manage their sport, their activities, their studies, their private lessons and exams, whatever, is also a skill that we need to impart, for example. So going through that experience, the challenging time of exams, is also a learning experience.
But the opportunity is being missed because we're not even getting them to the start line.
Sometimes we feel we need to make it easy for people, and unfortunately, making it, as I said before, making it easy doesn't mean you're doing it a service. But it's a fine line because it's very easy to say, deal with it and everything, deal with it and kind of grow up and everything, but it's not the right attitude either. So I think by slowly getting them to go through experiences as a team, working together, discussing, even that, for example, the ability to discuss and to have a debate, that me and you know that we can disagree and still work together and still move on.
Yeah.
But if we no discussion, for example, I mean,
Yes.
I don't know, let's say politics. Let's say no, don't discuss politics because you'll get into an argument. But it's good to argue, to discuss, to understand each other's opinions. Work as a team. There are people who tell you, I don't like working in group assignments, for example, or going into things in a group, because what if that person doesn't work? What if I end up doing all the work? What if I disagree? But that's exactly what you need to see how conflict management works, how to delegate work. So I think, again, going through experiences. I mean, I've been, coming back to me, for example, when the Young Enterprise Program started, and I joined the Young Enterprise Program because someone in school kind of made me, to be honest, and my brother and sister did it, so I had to kind of do it. For the first weekend, at the time there was a weekend, live-in weekend. You go in a weekend to kick it off. I didn't go because sharing a room, what if they make me talk? What if they make me work with others? Oh, no, I joined, but I'll stay on the sideline. By the end of it, I grew up. I felt like I matured a lot. Nowadays, I speak in public, I give lectures, I lead teams. Did that experience give me all this? No, but it was a start, I'm sure. From being someone who's 16-year-old scared to go to a weekend with his friends, I end up now traveling alone, going to international conferences to speak. And how did I get there? Through
you start
constantly small. So no public speaking. I know I don't speak in public. In my university days, I was very active with student organizations, KSU and everything. I used to get my friends in my course asking me to be in their team for their group work because I was able, or not able, I wanted to talk. I didn't mind talking and giving the presentation. So they used to come and tell me, we'll do all the work, the assignment and the presentation, we'll prepare it for you, but you then talk, not us. So for me, it was a perfect deal, to be honest, because I did something which I didn't mind, and they did all the work. So for me, that kind of group mechanism worked. And when during my university time, I had an accident, and I was out of action for 3-4 months.
Okay.
I remember we had an assignment that I was meant to deliver, to present.
Okay.
They managed to get this group assignment, our presentation, postponed for 3 months until I am back in action.
So they can give the speech. Okay.
So for me there, it was a case that I mention it to everyone. It's a case of where the students failed themselves because they could have taken an opportunity to go out of their comfort zone and do it. But also the lecturer failed them. Because we were a group of 10. So if I was that lecturer, I would say, you're 10 people. One of you is out of action because of the accident. And you can't
But this is the role of mentoring as well.
The other 9, you should be able to present. I would have never accepted a delay of 3 months. So a whole semester to deliver that assignment because of the excuse that we need to wait for the 10th guy to come along. And so there, the lecturer was being friendly, I don't know, nice, accepting the fact that it was an accident, so maybe he wanted me to feel part of the group. Maybe all the right reasons were there, but I think it was a disservice for the rest because they could have had their first step is actually talking in public and get out of that comfort zone.
How did that make you feel?
I was shocked when I was back at university and they told me, "You remember that assignment?"
So you didn't know throughout that you had to, once you're back?
The accident happened actually the weekend. On Monday, I had to do this presentation. And it was actually the reason why I went back home, because I was going to sleep somewhere, and I said, let me go home to work on that presentation. And then the accident happened. So actually this assignment was, you could say it's the take the blame for the accident. But anyway. And then when I went back and I said, actually, we didn't hand in that assignment, we didn't do it. And they told me, no, we're waiting for you. I was like, oh, okay, wow. And it was a shock. Did it make me feel wanted or appreciated in the group? Yes, but I think mainly I was surprised that this could even be possible, to be honest. So, but again, if we don't put people out of their comfort zone, slowly, gently, whatever, but at least start and step by step, we are doing a disservice to others.
I think so too. I think this reminded me of the role in parenting as well. I'm not a parent. I think at a certain age, parent needs to shift their style to match the age of their child as well. They become more like mentors, showing the ropes in life, and to, as you're suggesting, gently putting them in the right direction, sort of.
I mean, I'm a parent of two young ones, so. And there are instances where you say, let me challenge them more, let me see how they handle it, and it's also not easy, to be honest. So sometimes, because of a busy lifestyle and everything, it's convenient to say, okay,
I'll do it.
do it. I mean, a case in point, a struggle I always have is with mobiles and tablets. For me, having a child of, 6, 7 years old at a restaurant with a tablet, not talking, the parents having a whole discussion, and the child on a tablet, for me, I don't like it. You tell me, listen, maybe it's the only time the parents have together to discuss something important, and you happen to see them on that day. So I don't judge. I'm not saying this to judge people, because it could be there's a very serious situation, and I happen to see that couple, those parents on that one day, and it happened. So, but sometimes it is quite easy to say, here, take the tablet, let us talk. What if you involved that child and give them the opportunity to talk at table, to tell you what happened during the day, to say that they don't agree with you, or ask you, what did you just say, Papa? Sort of, what's that? It's also a learning experience. Do they learn from tablets? Could they be doing educational games on the tablet? Yes, 100%. It's also a learning tool, a learning vehicle. But again, it's the moderation. Sometimes it's good to read on maybe they're reading on the tablet, for all I know, which is also a good thing. So again, not judging, but the moderation. So parents should challenge, should make life easy. It's not child labor or slavery. But there's a happy medium. And I think in life, that's one of the biggest challenges we have. Again, finding that balance between procrastination and doing things as soon as they come to mind. Between being strict, being lenient, between doing it's always a balance that we need to strike. And I think you get that through experiences. One time you get it wrong, you say, I should have started that work earlier. Then you get it wrong the other way. I did that too quick. If only I spent another 24 hours thinking about it. I mean, when I was going to accept the job, for example, I said, tomorrow I'll call them, not today.
Something
it happened that I didn't say yes, because then it would have been bad going back out from my word. But I could have, delaying it that 24 hours, I could have called them and they told me, actually, we offered the job to someone else. So it's always a balance. And sometimes you get it wrong and you learn and say, next time I do it differently. That's life.
You do what feels right in the moment. Yeah. I think we often fail to listen to, not our gut feeling, but to listen to that little voice inside, or to our body sometimes as well.
I think that coupled with research
Mhm.
or be aware of things. So if you are aware of things, you did your research, you know your context, then you should trust your gut.
Mhm.
But to just trust your gut left, right, and
On a
center,
whim,
then
no,
that's
definitely.
you're playing with fire.
For
You
sure.
might get it right.
For sure. Matthew, off camera, you mentioned that there was a life-changing moment in your life, the accident. Was it the one that you've just mentioned with the university?
That was the accident. It was life-changing again because you realize sometimes you say, I had it easy. So everything was according to plan. I was in KSU. I was doing well in my studies and everything. So you tend to take things for granted. And then all of a sudden I had an accident. I was almost the end. I actually have a paper saying property of the deceased patient. And my mother actually signed it. Thank God she didn't read what she was actually signing at the time. And then...
Was it a car accident?
Yes, I was a passenger in a car accident. We skid. No one's fault. It was weather conditions near Adira caused the road to be very slippery. The car spun into an electricity pole. Brain hemorrhage, fractured skull, fractured leg. My leg is practically rebuilt, so thank you to the doctors. My ear was all gone, basically 24 stitches just in the earlobe. A lot of hours under operation. But then you start seeing things and you say, listen, I was actually lucky. I was unlucky, I was in an accident, but after that I went through a series of lucky episodes. From the person answering the emergency phone call, being someone experienced, who realized from my breathing in the background that I won't make it. So they called the doctor beyond the ambulance, they called someone who lived in the area, a doctor that lived in the area who wasn't on call, wasn't on duty, but he still came.
During the accident?
When the accident happened. So the telephone operator taking the emergency call was experienced enough to take that call. The person
who made the call?
The driver did the call because the driver wasn't heard.
Okay.
So the driver called the emergency and they heard me in the background. My breathing was such in a bad state. I don't remember anything.
For sure.
It was such in a bad state that they actually said the ambulance won't make it on time. So they called someone else. So that person was experienced. The doctor actually came. When I was in hospital, then the plastic surgeon was actually there, which he told me himself, I'm never here on a Sunday morning this early. But he was there so he could see to my leg there and then, not leave it open for infections or possible. So then you start seeing your lucky stars and you say, listen, I was actually lucky. I was surrounded then in the recovery by a supportive family, a lot of friends, the health system and everything. So I learned how to walk again, and that gets you to fight more. So yes, sometimes bad instances teach you. I remember the accident was on the 4th of November, and then my birthday is on the 2nd of March. And I had told myself when I was recovering, on the 2nd of March for my birthday, I will go down to the bowling alley because I used to play bowling and bowl a game. That was my target. I set myself a target that by 2nd March I need to learn how to walk again, build strength in it to actually go bowling again. And I did. I remember on the 2nd of March that year there with my father on the bowling lanes. So these are life-changing episodes. Would I still be the same? I don't know. You never know. But
you can never know, I think.
They, if not life-changing, life-impacting. They impacted me not to take things for granted, to be grateful to what you have. And yes, sometimes you need to go through tough times to get through. So a learning experience again. So every day is a learning day.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that, first of all.
I don't go around saying these stories, but in the right context, I think going through that hardship, the injury, the recovery. I remember when I went back home after the hospital for I had been in hospital for a long time, reaching my bedroom, being lifted up the stairs in a wheelchair, to reach my bedroom. That was the time where I burst out crying, because it was such a feeling to be back home, to be back in your bed, that I thought I might not actually make it. And there you realize, that when in other days you feel, oh, I had such a bad day, this situation is horrible, you think of that day and you say, well, I could actually not be here. I was actually in a much better, worse state than this, so fight on. And you see others that we need to use as role models for these things. And actually, I'll bring to a point that you said, the youth sometimes don't appreciate, because the media gives the success stories.
Yeah.
So behind every success, there's a lot of hard work. When you see an athlete breaking a world record, it's not just the 10 seconds race that he did, but it's the months of preparation. When a business, an entrepreneur does well, probably it wasn't his first idea or his first idea, and a lot of sacrifices went through that. But we don't see those. So we expect that, if I haven't been through experiences myself, I would think, oh, that guy was lucky, he made it, and I tried.
And there are lucky people. So some people do get lucky sometimes in business. I think it's also a fact.
Luck is also part of it. There's a theory, make your own luck and everything.
Yes.
Luck is also part of it. But you also need to put yourself in that position to get lucky.
And I think it's the minority that people do get super lucky. I think
luck.
it's by pure chance.
It's never pure luck. I watch, I follow football and Formula 1, and there are instances where you say, that was luck. But that one instance was luck. The preparation, all the hard work to get to that stage, to be in that position, to benefit from that luck, it involved a lot of work. But and then between great and exceptional, sometimes it's luck as well.
That, and there's the talent, the time, and the investment in the skill as well, and a strategic point as well, where you position yourself in the right position for you to win. So the timing, the situation, the people involved,
surrounding yourself with other people who can push you. So not only where you look good, but you need to choose to be surrounded by people where they complement your skills. You can learn from them. If you don't challenge yourselves, you don't grow. You don't
Definitely.
learn.
Matthew, throughout this episode, you mentioned the word impact quite a lot. I think this word is quite important for you. What is the impact that you would like to do at the moment?
I think the impact is you impact someone's life positively, so that you cause a change, that you do something to even simply inspire someone, motivate someone to do something different. I believe a lot in education, as probably you got. I believe a lot in learning, in experiences and learning. So if I manage to get someone, to convince someone to go through a challenge, to go through a program, to go through a different experience, for me, it's a success. That experience might not be the best positive experience of their lives. Fair enough. I might have pushed someone and they went through something that was hard for them to do, but I'm sure they learned. So being able to see the results of saying, that person is there, I helped him a bit. He phoned me when he needed something. He phoned me and I helped him. And this is what's good in this work. So you get the opportunity to do that a lot. in the corporate world, maybe, yes, if you're selling a product that makes
Yeah.
people's lives easier,
That's good.
you could say, I'm also doing impact.
Definitely.
Fair enough, but I feel the impact in when affecting someone's lives from an experience point of view, well, I feel that it's more impactful than, I don't know, helping him open a jar with a tool that makes it easy.
Yeah.
It's also useful, it's also impactful, but for me, if it's through an experience, through sharing knowledge, having a discussion, I feel I'm happy to do it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. But we're drawing to near the end of our episode, but because we formed like a tradition here, like a different kind of rapid fire questions. Before going to that, I feel that I've been asking you a lot of questions throughout, and this is more about you rather than about me. But is there anything that you would like to ask me before we go into the activity?
A question that sort of from your discussions here, sort of you've been having a series of discussions with different people. What would be the one thing that you say if you had to pick the best one, or the one that's kind of struck you the most, and say, I actually didn't think that out of this podcast this point will come out, or this even it could be a comment that you got online or whatever. Something that struck you that, although you weren't planning for it, it happened, and it was actually a positive thing from the podcast you created.
I did quite a bit. I've been podcasting for around a year and a half now, so I did this week. The 37th episode will be out. And I have a particular podcast that well, first of all, thank you for asking the question. There's a particular podcast episode, I think it's around the 11th one, I believe, where the podcast for me changed, because I started off the podcast GROWTHShcema to which it had to be more corporate and business oriented. So that was the scope for it, mainly because of the work I do at Endeavor and in my full time. I work in HR full time, so I envisioned the podcast to be heading in that direction. But then I had a conversation with a friend of mine and an ex-colleague of mine, and at some point in time, he works in recruitment, so in HR and recruitment, so that made sense. But because he was a friend of mine, we reached a certain level during the podcast that was very personal, and I felt that I enjoyed that. So, and at that point in time, I realized that this is what I want to do. So that was a particular moment in my podcasting journey, because it was a moment where I coined the idea of what I wanted to do out of this podcast episode.
And that's what we were talking about as well. That even that's being could be defined as being entrepreneurial as well. You saw something that could make you happier or more passionate about it, let's say, that you saw that there is a shift that you could do and derive more impact, more value out of it, and you weren't scared in taking that step to adapt, to adjust your original. You weren't set in stone that this is what I need to do, this is what I'm doing, so don't change now. This is where I set my tracks. So that is part of another skill of spotting an opportunity, seeing where life is taking you, adjusting and moving on to achieve better results.
So that was I'm sure I answered your question, though.
Yes.
All right. So you ready for the rapid fire question?
Let's go for
it. All right. So you have to pick a card. All right.
I read it out loud.
Yes, please.
What role does self-reflection play in your personal development? Interesting question. I don't spend a lot of time on self-reflection, to be honest, I think. When you asked me the question as well, sort of how did you decide?
Yes, I noticed.
And I told you, it felt like second nature. I'm not a person that believes believes maybe is the wrong word. I'm not into meditation, self-reflection, sort of really dwelling too much on oneself. To be honest, I hate talking about myself.
And here we are.
and here we are. But for example, really think how you feel and how are you and what makes you happy, what do you really want in life. If you were to ask me kind of these questions, I would hesitate. I would get nervous because I don't really focus a lot on self-reflection. So when it's about me, I kind of plow on, and when it's about work, and I like to be analytical and making sure that all the decisions and there's no repercussions, or if something happens, I know how to handle it. But then when it comes about me, kind of I just plow on, to be honest. So. But you do find yourself in instances and situations where, yes, then you need to reflect. For example, when I was changing the job, that should I do this? But I think it's when you're in a particular situation that you need to take a decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's where then a bit of self-reflection comes along. I'm not a person that kind of likes to block time in his day or in his week to self-reflect or to see what have I achieved last week, what am I achieved. I'm not that kind of structured person when it comes to me personally. So I would say, what role does self-reflection play? I would say low.
None.
I think my personal development comes through experiences, putting myself
Okay.
in a situation where I know I might be uncomfortable.
All right.
Networking for me was a big scary thing, to go into a hall of people and talk to people there.
I think you do self-reflect in your own way, because you've been doing that for the past minutes that we've been having conversation. It's just maybe the word self-reflection does not match with the idea of self-reflection that you practice.
Yeah. Or my mindset of self-reflection is someone.
Because you mentioned meditation,
Exactly.
and I agree with that. So when it comes to self-reflection, I don't picture someone meditating personally. I picture someone thinking about what they did and why they did that in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to entrepreneurship, you would say, why this product failed? What could go wrong? Is there a market
exactly,
for
it
it?
has to be an instance
yes.
that I need to do it. I'm not going to every Sunday make a note of what have I achieved.
I've started doing that.
It's not me. It's not me. I see the value of it, to be honest, because sometimes I do it to do my to-do list.
Okay, all right.
So now thinking about it, if it helps me to do my to-do list of what I want to achieve today, then maybe actually understanding what I have achieved last week and everything actually helps. But again, I won't block time to do it specifically, but if I need to take a decision or something happened, then I obviously reflect on it, yes.
Mm-hmm. Matthew, thank you for being part of the GROWTHShcema podcast. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Now, it was the time for me to reciprocate. You were the guest this time around. So thank you for being here.
Excellent. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.